All right, let me make this make sense. Whenever God gives you directions, instructions, provisions, whatever that looks like, God is intentional. He's very strategic. He will give you the green light. He will give you the grace. He will give you strategies. He will give you the go ahead. He gives you more of himself to walk into. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Whatever He's calling you to do. Also, there are times where He will give you the instructions, but maybe not necessarily his timing yet to step into that. Does that make sense? So with that being said, you got to know which one applies to you. And this is when the Lord is teaching you how to be spirit led. I've talked about this quite a few times. Sometimes we're waiting for God to show us a sign, a billboard, like yes, no, wait, go, left, right. But then sometimes He just wants us to pay attention if He's teaching us how to be sensitive in the spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit, how to be spirit led. So you may be waiting for God to say yes to this thing or no to this thing or go this way or go that way. But pay attention. Do you feel the leading of the Holy Spirit on this? I did a message several months ago talking about red light, green light. You know, is it a red light from the enemy or a pause from the Holy Spirit? But right now, the enemy is trying to confuse. I see two groups of people, and the enemy is trying to confuse you as far as some of you, the Lord has given the green light on something. But, and I get it because I've been here, you are so afraid to step into it. I've talked about this before, even some of you that I coach. Sometimes when you cross into a new season, it may not even be the promised land yet, but when you transition into a new season or step into the new, God has to recalibrate your heart, especially if you're just now coming out of your fire, your refining process, the wilderness. But for some of you that God has given the green light, you're so stuck and stagnant and afraid to take a leap of faith, afraid to move forward. What if this happens? What if that happens? This is when not only you got to be spirit led, but you got to understand, thank you, Holy Spirit, give the Lord space to course correct you. And I know it's I don't want to say it's a scary place to be. It's different. It's strange. But what I mean by course correct, give Him the space that if you do get out of alignment, if you do move ahead of Him, that you have a posture of expectancy that He will guide you back where He needs you to be. So the enemy is trying to keep you just shackled in fear in that stronghold to where you're just paralyzed. You're stuck. You're stagnant. God is giving you the green light. Holy Spirit is giving you His leading. He's ushering you into that place, but you're so afraid to move. But if that applies to you, again, give Him the space to course correct you. I know, come out of that place of thinking you're going to let God down or I don't want to make a wrong move. Yes, you have the right mindset, but God has not given us a spirit of fear. Lord, I trust that this is the way that you're leading me, and I trust that you've gone ahead of me. I trust that if I get out of alignment or if I veer off too far to the left or the right, that you're going to guide me and lead me back. That's when He course corrects you, okay? Now, this other group of people that the Lord has given instructions for, but maybe not the leading of His Spirit just yet, be mindful of that. That space there, this group of people there, the enemy is trying to get you to move in haste. Like He knows it's yours. He knows it's been promised. He knows it's been revealed, but He's trying to get you to step into it too soon. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Just like even when Jesus, was tempted by the enemy, if you really be the Son of God, turn the stone into bread, jump off, this mountain, the angels will hold you up. You won't even hurt your foot on the stone. Like He knows it's yours, but He's trying to get you to step into it too soon. So before you ask, take this back to the Lord to see which group you are in. You should already feel some confirmation for one or the other. Holy Spirit may have been already giving you some instructions and strategies, and the Lord is just waiting on you. Like you got the green light, you got the open door. He's waiting on you. But trust Him to course correct you. Like have that posture. Lord, if I get too far off, even if I start going too far, make me sensitive in the spirit where I can feel that you're guiding me back. And this other group over here, just because you got the instructions does not mean it's time to walk in that thing. It does not mean it's time for manifestation. Sometimes God will give the instructions and you got to be a good and faithful steward just sitting in that place until He breathes on it, until He says, okay, I've gone ahead of you. Thank you, Holy Spirit. I didn't even see that. Sometimes, even when the Lord gives you the instructions, it's not time to go through it yet because he already sees what's up ahead. He sees traps that the enemy has set or the way the enemy has moved. So to trick the enemy, thank you, Holy Spirit, take this back to God. He will give you the instructions. The enemy is up there waiting on you, but the Lord has like taken you a different route, or the Lord has given you a different time to step into it. Does that make sense? He's like allowing the enemy to pass you by. So you got to be spirit led. You got to be intentional. You got to know which one applies to you. Take it back to the Lord, but give yourself grace. I can't stress this enough. So many of you are stepping into something new, something unfamiliar. You've never been this way before. This is like uncharted territory for you, but so many of you are still, you're beating yourself up. I should be over this by now. I should be moving this way by now. I should be hearing God better by now. Understand, you got to give yourself grace for a place that you've never been. You got to give yourself grace for learning a new place and learning a new land. Thank you, Holy Spirit. But give God room to teach you new things in that land and new things in that season and new ways and new provisions, whatever that looks like. But give yourself grace for the things that you don't know. Give yourself grace even. I'm not saying giving yourself an excuse, but give yourself grace for times that the Lord, prefers to course correct you. The reason why I say that's a strange place is because you get to a point where when you've been through the wilderness, it's like, I don't want to make a wrong move. I don't want to go ahead of God. I don't want to miss what God is doing. And all of that is true. But God never wants us to be so stuck and become paralyzed that we're afraid to do anything. We got to get to a point where we have a new boldness in us. Like we're not shy. We're not fearful. We're not timid. Not saying we're moving in haste, but we're moving with confidence that this is the way I feel like the Lord is leading me and guiding me. But I trust that if it's not, he's going to get me right back on track. I hope this makes sense, but take this back to the Lord and let him reveal which group applies to you, if any, and y'all be blessed.